Greetings, world travelers. It's time to get those seatbacks and tray tables in the upright position. This is Judgmentalist, half of Big Sexy Digital Nomad duo, coming at you yet again. This time, we are here with a repeat guest who is going all over the world. In fact, last time he was on the program here, we didn't have this fancy little intro music that he's hearing. So we're going to catch up with him because he's been traveling the world. And, of course, Big Sexy, who's always out and about. What is up, sir?
What's happening? Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening whenever this is hitting your ear holes. I hope it is good. Yeah, pleasant surprise. Our guest today and I were chatting about. I'm getting ready to pop his episode on the Patreon for subscribers, and those who want to check that out, go to bullwiththebutthole.com. Or if you want to be boring, you can go to patreon.com / Big Sexy Digital Nomad. But the fun way,
a lot of typing.
It's a whole lot of typing. I mean, so is bullwiththebutthole.com, but it's much more fun to type, right? But yeah, I'm getting ready.
Flows across the tongue.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. The way it flows out of your fingertips onto the keyboard, it's lovely. So definitely go that and check it out and support. You can support the podcast, and you'll get to see the videos that I create for the interview episodes. Essentially, what I'm doing is, like, for our regular episodes, when we have video, I just play the video as is. If we don't have the video for it, it'll have like our merch images throughout. They'll kind of do a slideshow of those. But for our guests, for our lucky guests, our honored guests, what I do is I hit them up for photographs of them traveling, wherever they've gone, whatever they do. And then during their episode, I play a lovely slideshow of those photos. So you kind of get to see the person, see where they've been, the things they've done, any fooling around we've done. So I love that. And what's funny is now with this episode, you're going to have a bonus, because this episode is the first episode where it's not our first repeat guest, because technically Brogan was our first repeat guest.
Right.
But this will be the first time this guest has a slideshow of photos and then a recording of us actually speaking to one another. And I'll figure out a kind of a cool way to intersperse a lot of that with this episode as well. So this presents the first interesting creative opportunity. I guess I should get to the point. Our guest today, last I heard, was in Mexico. I don't know if that's still the case or not. I don't think so.
I'm thinking Peru. Peru?
That it is.
Yeah. All right. He perused himself over to Peru. Put your hands together for bearing a backpack.
Salud. What's
going on, Justin? How you doing, sir?
Not too shabby. Long time no talk.
It's been a minute. So how have your world travels been?
Pretty great so far. So the last time we talked, I was still kind of in the getting all of the paperwork approved to be able to do the whole digital nomad thing.
Right.
Literally setting the precedent with my company and with, I assume, with our client, a government agency who will remain unnamed, but they're awesome scientists. So love them. But yeah, so I kicked off at the end of January, put all my stuff in storage back in DC, and hit the road. I headed down to Mexico. I was down there for 3 months. San Luis Potosi, La Paz, San Luis Potosi.
That sounds like a sex act that you find in a Mexican.
I'm registering the domain right now.
There you go. slpsexax.com.mx. No, that was a beautiful city. Spent a month there, then made my way over to La Paz, which is near Cabo San Lucas at the bottom of Baja California Sur. Was near the beach there, and then back up in the mountains in Guanajuato for a month and spent a lot of time at a cocktail bar right around the corner from my apartment.
Nice.
Spectacular place called the Parlamento. But yeah, Mexico was awesome. I'm debating whether or not to go back in October. But SLP was phenomenal. The food was spectacular. Mexico lives up to the hype. When people talk about Mexican cuisine, the shit you get in the U.S. just doesn't compare.
Right.
It's truly magical. La Paz was really cool. I'm not really a beach guy, but I just found out that I enjoy snorkeling.
Oh,
I've never been I'm not a strong swimmer. I've always been kind of nervous in the water. But for some reason I strap on goggles and a snorkel and hop in the water with, my first time snorkeling was with sea lions.
Okay.
And the next day, my second day snorkeling was with a whale shark.
Oh, nice.
Oh, look at you go.
I highly, highly, highly recommend going with a good tour group somewhere and snorkeling with a whale shark. That shit will change your life.
Nice.
Have
you ever been snorkeling?
I have, yeah.
A
couple times. I'm sure that there are other times, but most recently in my adult life, 2 different times in the DR, one much better location wise than the other. So I will say that the tour guide that you have is generally important. Twice at Turks and Caicos. In fact, coming out of the lockdowns, I want to say that it was New Year's 21 into 22. I booked a trip to, I want to say it's one of the big resorts down there in Turks and Caicos, Provinciales. And it's something that generally speaking is super fucking expensive, but
pandemic
just opened back up. I think that we were there like the second or third week they were open. So we literally paid still too much money, but a third or so of what you would normally pay to go on a trip like that.
People call them COVID discounts.
Yeah. They're like, I think it was sandals maybe, or beaches or something shit like that. Right. What are the big ones where, again, part of what you're paying for is that name. And of course it's all inclusive and all that jazz, right. But you go down to the beach, you give them your ID or your key card or something like that, and they give you snorkeling gear. And then they say, hey, go down there. Once you get past this buoy, then just go into the water. There's going to be, other buoys that are circling the reef. Don't go past those. But then it's just absolute brilliance once you're out there. I mean, sea turtles, all the fish, all that other stuff. And then I guess it's been 2 years. Yeah, 2 years literally this week that I was on the big island of Hawaii where my uncle lives. And several times, he lives within a short drive or maybe a half a mile walk to beaches where you just, and these are locals beaches, not,
right.
Not resort town type beaches.
And have all the fancy lounges and umbrellas.
Just roll right on out there and snorkel. So we did a bunch of that too. So several times.
My first snorkeling outing was in Hawaii as well. Well, not my first one was in Hawaii. I think it was my first. I may have did some snorkeling in California when I was a kid. They kind of. I definitely went snorkeling in SeaWorld. Right. So yeah, that was my very first snorkeling was in SeaWorld in California as a child. They give you a little thing, put on your mouth and goggles, and you put your face in the water, and you kind of float in water. You can stand, but they have the reef or whatever. But the first time I went out in nature, in real nature, was when I went out to Hawaii. That was an amazing trip. Yeah,
it's a whole new world. Like I said, I've never been a big water guy. Just not a strong swimmer, can't open my eyes or hold my breath underwater. So it's like I walk up mountains. I can do that. Water's always been kind of a scary thing for me. So it was a lot for me to be like, all right, I'm going to go swim with sea lions and a whale shark. And then I did a trip with a buddy of mine. We went to Curacao for a week just on vacation and booked 2 snorkeling tours, and it was phenomenal. Like I had my little waterproof camera, and I'm there filming and taking pictures. I'm like, I'm big into wildlife photography. And so it just opened up a whole new world to me. I'm like, now I'm thinking, maybe I want to take a trial dive for scuba diving, give that a shot at some point.
Ooh, that's a whole nother beast.
That's a big jump.
That's a much different aspect, but you might like it. You might love it. You know what I mean?
I figure I'll give it a shot. You know, trial dives are apparently pretty easy. They're like, let's just take you out, you know, see if you feel comfortable with it. It's not like open water. It's like it's like if I was snorkeling off the beach, but you're doing it with, you know,
scuba gear.
Yeah, which I think that's pretty cool.
All right, well, that means you're gonna have to come back a third time and let us know how that goes.
Oh, absolutely. I'm loving this, man. But yeah,
so how many new countries have you tacked onto your list since this most recent departure and journey?
So this is my fourth new country this year. Curacao is a Dutch territory, so I've already been to the Netherlands, so that doesn't count.
It counts.
I'm gonna give you.
I was kind of disappointed when I learned that. I was like, damn it, I thought I was getting another one, but no, I'd already been to Amsterdam, so Willemstad didn't count. But beautiful little island. It was kind of a dead time when we went there, so it was not really the most exciting time, but the water was absolutely beautiful. The tours were fantastic. Food was pretty good on the island, but that place is very expensive, which most islands are. So I'm not rich like that. So not really my jam, but for a week, it was a great vacation. I really enjoyed it. But I'm digging South America now. This is my first time on the continent during this round of travel. So,
and what parts? As we said, you're currently in Peru.
In Peru, yeah. So I started.
What other parts of have you been on?
So my first stop was Manizales, Colombia. So it's a smaller city up in the mountains. Basically, I choose my places based on a few different factors. Number one is internet speed and reliability, because I'm a digital nomad and my job requires me to be on video calls, screen sharing like most of the day, every day. So there's not a day that goes by where I'm not on at least one video call. So I need fast internet, and I need it to be reliable. And I've been pretty fortunate so far. Everywhere I've gone is pretty strong internet.
That's good.
I hammer through Airbnb reviews to make sure that, you know, there's stuff on there. I wish that stupid website would just let you filter by verified Wi-Fi, but they have not added that as a feature yet. Yeah.
The other feature that I wish Airbnb had, we're doing that right now because we're in Bucharest.
Oh, nice. I've been there.
And what we really want is for Airbnb to have a Airbnb near me function. Right. If I'm in a part of town that looks really cool, you know, oh man, I would love to be here. Is there any Airbnbs nearby or whatever? You know, like no, you got to go a roundabout way. You probably got to figure out where you are, get that zip code to where you are, and then plug in, you know, the country you're in and the city you're in and the zip code, and then you kind of get a feeling. But it's like, I just want to be able to open up, hit, you know, near me, you know where I'm at.
At the GPS. Yeah.
What's around here? You know,
I wish you could search by bed size. Like I've been in a couple places now where like the bed just feels small or short, and it's like I want to search by king size. It's like I'm not living at home now. I'm like, I want a big ass bed, man. I want to be comfortable. You know,
well, don't come to Europe. I don't think Europe has king size beds. I don't think that's a thing.
The funny thing is the first couple places I was at in Mexico did. Like the first 2 places had huge, comfortable beds in SLP and La Paz. They were awesome. And then the next one I went to was this tiny little thing. It's like you took a twin size kid's bed and like added a little bit more, and that's about it. Like I'm only 5'10", and my feet hung off the bottom because I had to move it away. I had to move it away from the wall because their headboard was this metal thing that they had on 2 hooks hanging on the wall. So if I sleep on my stomach and I move my arms over under my head and I shift the pillow, all I hear is clang, clang of wrought iron smacking off the wall. So yeah, that wasn't so pleasant.
Well, you got to go out there and meet some new friends and then make that clanging a whole lot louder, if you know what I mean.
No comment.
I booked an Airbnb. It might be my first Airbnb. I think a couple of weeks ago I was on here talking about how I have stayed in Airbnbs. They were booked by other people. I have been part of booking Airbnbs that some of the, NFL prospect players have stayed in. But I have, for the first time, booked an Airbnb that I'll be staying in. So that's cool. Chicago, so we're not leaving the country for this. But
right.
Yeah, Airbnb
I didn't do any of this vetting reviews or bullshit. I was just like, that looks like it's in the location. It's 2 bedrooms. I'm just digging enough to confirm that there are actually 2 beds because I have no interest, no offense to RJ, in sharing a bed with him. I don't think that he has an interest in sharing a bed with me.
I wouldn't put it past him.
When in Rome,
just for the sake of content for their podcast.
Yeah, of course. But again, we're in Chicago for this, not Rome. So when in Rome doesn't apply. But yeah,
Chi-town, time to get down. Is that what I'm hearing?
So I guess I should probably kind of look at this thing. It's too late now. It's not really.
We're doing the Airbnb jaunt here in Europe as well. Everywhere we went in Spain, we except for a couple. Like one place with a hotel, and that was terrible. And we would stay in 2 hotels, and everything else has been Airbnb. Same with Romania; everything here has been Airbnb. The hard part about Airbnb is that you pay so much more than you would if you could rent it from a local.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's so many hurdles and things you got to jump through in order to rent it from a local that it's just like.
Yeah,
because there's all these fees that Airbnb tax on, and
Airbnb gets a lot of shade on Reddit and the digital nomad subreddits and stuff. They're like, "Oh, there's so many fees and all these blah blah blah, and it's terrible." And it's like, I haven't paid more than $1,000 a month, and granted, I should be paying a lot less if I was renting.
That's it, right?
Which
we are part of the problem, right?
I still believe that problem is developers and people with way more money than we have. I don't think a few hundred or 1,000 digital nomads or tourists is really going to change that dynamic. There's a lot of hate on that too. And I don't think we're to blame for that. I mean, maybe the smallest percentage, but I think in general, it's just.
It's that tough part, right? I mean, it's like, a lot of these people won't rent their apartments to people there who need it for the price that they can afford because they can turn it into an Airbnb and rent it to us dumb Americans who will pay 3 times the amount because 3 times the amount there is still half of what we're paying back home.
Facts.
I think, and so it's like, it's a great deal for us. Believe me, I got into quite a few of these conversations with folks in Spain about it, right? Especially in Malaga, because Malaga is becoming very heavy. It's a really heavy touristy spot, and a lot of the Spanish are like, because people will come, and I blame the landlords, right? I mean, it really is the landlords. Yeah, they could easily not charge as much. Right.
But there's still fees that like I'm trying to see if I could pull mine up right now from this most recent trip.
The US has some really rough fees. You're going to see some stuff on there that you don't see in
Europe or Mexico.
Yeah, so I'll break mine down. This is 2 nights. We're staying in Chicago. It's an apartment with 2 beds in 2 bedrooms. It is $116 a night. So that times 2 is $232. Cleaning fee. $93. Service fee, $44.88. Taxes, well, that's going to the government, I assume.
So you're getting robbed. You can actually search for on Airbnb for the total price, including all the fees.
Right. Well, here's the thing.
You can also email them and ask them to cut the fees.
Yeah.
Like I don't really do that anymore because I'm mostly going to lesser developed countries, but like in Europe, I would email places when I was doing my first around the world and be like, hey, this is a little more than I'm looking to spend. Can you cut the price a little bit, or can you drop it down? Cut the cleaning fee. I'm like, look at my reviews. Everybody says that it looks like I wasn't even there.
This is my first one. I don't have any reviews, so I have no juice.
Yeah, once you build up that clout, then you can play.
I mean, here's the trade-off, and there may or may not be more of this in my future because I don't know. It's such a mixed bag because if there is a town that I'm going to that has a casino with a hotel in, I'm probably staying there for free or next to nothing. So we're staying overnight on this little run, and I guess I'll just backdoor plugging these shows here in a moment. But we're staying 2 nights in Chicago at the Airbnb. The total price for 2 people, 2 nights, is a little under $450. Then the next night we'll drive and we'll go. We're going to do a big drive after the Chicago shows. It's 2 shows on September 12th for anybody that's wondering. And then we're going to drive to Council Bluffs, Iowa. And there's a Harrah's casino there. We're going to stay there for 2 nights, and that's going to be completely complimentary. So if you average it out, we're paying less than the per night price across the 4 nights for the one place.
That makes sense.
So yeah, and then because then we've got a show on the 14th in Nebraska. All these are on judgmentalist.com. They're probably on RJ's website. Just go to judgmentalist.com because I know they're there and I know the links work. There's like I want to say a 7 and a 9 or maybe a 7:30 and a 9 in Chicago at Sideshow Gelato. That's the new place that opened up maybe 2 months ago. And then the Sun Theater is where we are in Nebraska. I don't know much about that other than the fact that it was a tour stop that was given to me by a Scoop. It was something that Matt Donnelly and I were supposed to do, and then the Fuller's Live Tour gobbled up his schedule.
Oh, sons of bitches.
And then I circled back around and I said, hey, I know that we're not getting you Matt Donnelly in September, but do you want the guy that directs his show? And they're like, hell yeah, let's do it. So we're lined up for that. They're apparently having some sort of a festival in their town that day. So this is going to kind of parlay into that. So really, if you are in that Nebraska area, it's probably like 45 minutes to an hour from Omaha. So if you're somewhere in that zone and you're interested in that show, hop on there and get those tickets, because I think that as they start promoting that town festival, those tickets are going to get gobbled up by locals.
And then after that, move, because nobody should live in Nebraska.
Right.
Thanks.
Yeah. And then, so RJ and I, like I said, we'll be hanging out in Chicago after that show. So I know that there are a ton of people that have already reached out because I lived in Chicago for 2 years. RJ lived in Chicago for a number of times. So we've got people that we're connected to in the area. I mean, Jimmy Slow that is on Two Characters and a Clown with RJ probably knows a bunch of people and is going to push people to those Chicago shows.
Nice.
So anybody who's going to those, make sure you reach out to us on the various social medias or just come up to us after the show. Because we will most likely be hanging out after those shows. Even if you're going to the 7:30 show, then go get something to eat and then circle back around, because we're probably going to just, do the whole thing afterwards and hang out. So, yeah.
Nice. You ever live in Chicago there, Justin?
I lived there with Judge for a summer when he suckered me into coming out there to sell office supplies door to door. And introverted Justin is not good at walking into places, cold calling, trying to sling office supplies like paper and toner and whatever other BS. But the Judge here,
the funny thing,
this man could sell some stuff. My goodness, I remember walking into a place with him when I first went out there. It might have actually been my interview day, which it wasn't really an interview. You basically just walk in, they give you a job. We walked into a Mexican restaurant. He speaks very little Spanish, less than I speak now, or less than I spoke then. I believe you sold him a cash register.
Maybe.
pretty sure you sold them a cash register. You just walked in and you're like, tarjeta? And for some reason, like he whips out the catalog and they bought a cash register off him. I was like, how does this happen? Who does this? Like I couldn't sell boxes of paper that were, $20 less than what a lawyer's office was paying to them. Like this law office was paying $20 a box or a case more than what I was offering them. And they were going through 8 cases a week. And I'm like, I'm saving you so much money here. Let's make this happen. And they're just like, no, we just want to stay with what we're doing.
Ugh.
I'm like,
that wasn't your calling.
It sells them a cash register, not even speaking their language.
You're pointing that out like it's you. I will tell you, because I was involved in some form of that business for 2 years, because we did that campaign for the office supplies for a while, and then we shifted gears, a handful of us, to do some stuff with AT&T. Well, it was Singular at the time, and we were set up inside their cell phone stores to sell people home phone service. Boy, has that aged well. But people are people, you know what I mean? Like, no matter how good you might want to paint this picture that I ran into those same dumbasses where I could sit there and be like, hey, I'm cutting your price in half. And then they'd be like, and sometimes you just couldn't get people to do it, no matter what you had. It just,
common sense is not common.
Well, I'm okay. We can test your theory. Justin, did you ever walk into a business or a place and sell them something they really didn't need, didn't want at the moment in time?
Maybe, but not to that level. I mean, I was not good at that job. I used to have nightmares every night of having to walk into places and try and sell, because it's not my personality. Like I'm not a cold caller. Like I see you on social media, Biggs, and dude, you're talking to everybody. You are the social butterfly type.
I am indeed. But you know what? Sales is also not for me. When I first moved to Vegas, I started working at the Hilton's Vacation Club, right? And those aren't cold calls. It's still a timeshare type deal, but they're not cold calls, right? I'm only calling Hilton Honors members, right? So they signed up, they asked for it. I was one of the people who called them and say, hey, you want a trip to Hawaii? You want a trip to Orlando? You want a trip to the LA? Or Vegas? Vegas. You want a trip to Vegas? Vegas, Orlando, and Hawaii were the three markets we sold in. And I had to try to get people to buy the timeshare, to come out, spend their money, and do the presentation, and da-da-da-da-da. And we always had to hit these numbers. And I was really good at talking to people and getting whatever issue they had solved. I'm a problem solver. What I couldn't do was make them buy something they didn't want, because I'll take that no and be like, okay.
But all right, so I've been pitched on this before, and don't get me wrong, I've said no to it numerous times. I'm going to ask you, I'm going to describe what I think your job was, and you tell me how close I am, because again, I've received this pitch probably from other companies. You start off with the, hey, thank you for being a loyal Hilton Honors or whatever member. We've got an offer for you. We want to give you completely free 3 nights in destination X. It's going to include X, Y, and Z. The only thing that you got to do is fly yourself here. We don't cover that. And then as we get to it, I'm collecting like $100 or $199 that's going to be refunded to you after you get through, the sales program when you get here, something like that, right?
That's exactly what I did. Well,
so
this is how good of a personality I am.
But you're not selling something, because they got to put a deposit down effectively to make sure they show up and do the presentation.
Here's why I'm selling. I have to collect the money.
Right.
I don't care if it's refundable. I'm still in sales. I have to collect the money. Doesn't count if I don't collect the money. If I don't get them to a closer to collect the money, it doesn't count. Now, I was there 6 weeks. It took me a week and a half to realize I hated it. Like three days prior to starting the job, I thought I'd be great at it. Thought I loved it. Because again, I never wanted to do cold calls. I never wanted to, just call random people out the blue and try to sell them a product. This felt like an end. Like, oh, okay, no, they signed up for it. They know these kind of calls are coming. And then,
somebody told you it was a warm call.
Yeah. They weren't hot leads.
These are the good leads.
These are lukewarms.
Glengarry leads.
Right. And
it's fuck or walk, Big Sexy. It's fuck
but
or walk.
ABC, baby.
I was there 6 weeks, and honestly, I was there at least 2 weeks longer than I should have been.
No steak knives, brother.
When they were letting me go, they're like, "We don't want to do this. Like, you're a wonderful person. We've hemmed and hawed at trying to avoid letting you go, but we keep trying to get you to hit the numbers, man. Hit the numbers." I'm like, I just don't have it to hit the numbers. I try, I get close, but it's that whatever that instinct is, nah. Can I chat on the phone? Can I talk to people? Can I make the office a fun place to be? Absolutely. I can do that all day long, right? Actually, that's what happened with the complaints department, right? I started there. When I started there, there was no sales whatsoever, 0 sales. It was all customer service.
Right.
It was all IT work and helping people out, whatever. Then as they started introducing products, they wanted us to push these products. And then some of the products started to have a money component. And the moment it had a money component, the moment there may be a time when I had to get somebody's payment information or whatever, I said, "Nah, I'm done. I got to figure out how to get out of here." Now, luckily, we planned the trip and it worked out just fine. But I said, man, the last thing I want to do is sell. So believe me, Justin, I hear you. I got
a spam call coming in.
Judge, do you remember how I quit that job?
I don't.
Yes. So I was only there for 3 months, and I would have weeks where I didn't sell anything, and this was all commission. Like, if you didn't sell, you didn't make any money. There was no draw or anything.
Right.
So
I mean, that was one benefit of Hilton. It did have a base rate that you got paid.
That's good. So we'd be out there, and when I was doing this job, it was summer in Chicago, and we were walking around in suits with a big ass catalog that we were carrying around. So it was just hot as balls and humid and awful. And I had so much anxiety walking into places, and at night when I'd go home, not making any money. And there would be times where I would just literally pull into a park under a tree, and sleep in my car or just chill. So when I'm just I'm at the end of my rope, I'm done with it, I can't do it anymore, I just went home. I went back to the apartment, and I'm just sitting in there watching TV in the middle of the workday. And Jobeth walks in. He's just like, "I guess you're done, aren't you?" And I said, "Yep, I think I'm going back to Pittsburgh." And that was it. He literally walked in the one time.
What was I doing there?
I have no idea, because it was still a couple hours left. I think you were just stopping in for something, because I was always sent to those suburbs because I had a little car that got good gas mileage, and gas prices were really high at the time. And I was just, sitting on the couch, and you open the door, and I look, and I'm like, it's like, "Well, I guess you're done, aren't you?" And I said, "Yep, that's about it." And so I packed up my shit, and I drove back to Pennsylvania.
Oh,
so
yeah.
At the time, it was, Jobeth was I was a sales associate or whatever the heck they called us. Jobeth was my team lead. We lived with our assistant manager and the office owner. So it was 4 of us. They all 3 had rooms. I slept in a mattress on the floor in, I guess it was it your room? Was it another room? I don't even remember.
I honestly don't remember.
I
remember more about my second year there than the first year there, as far as the living accommodations are concerned. I could tell you that I remember some of the clubs and shit that we went to. Like
the one that I got kicked out of because I got punched.
Yeah, that was Level downtown. That's a place where Vince Vaughn's always hanging out. I specifically remember that happening. I mean, we got into some shenanigans, like that is a time.
Anything, and I'm the one that got kicked out of the club.
That was the kind of time where we really should have taken a little pause and said, bro, let's get you a real job, because the social life that we had surrounding that job was the fucking greatest, because you're talking about, like he just described, a room full of 20 somethings who were working Monday through Friday, 14 or so hours a day on average. So by the time Friday hit, it was time. I had this. You remember the shot machine?
No,
it was me.
I remember. Was it Saturday or Sunday mornings at Hooters?
Yeah, we would go to Hooters Saturday and Sunday mornings, and we would crush like 4 or 5 pitchers of beer and eat like 50 wings between 2 or 3 of us. We
literally went to Hooters for the wings.
Yes, like legit.
That's not like the dirty old man excuse. We legit went there for the wings and the beer.
You're also 20-year-old, so definitely not the dirty old man thing. No, I get it. I completely understand.
But so the shot machine was a nickname that was given to me at some point in time. We would go to places, and I'd be like, all right, shots. It'd be me and usually 2 other people for the shot machine to engage. I would go up. I would order 4 shots. 2 would sit here by my right hand. 2 would sit here by my left hand. And then whoever else was doing those shots would come stand to my left and my right. I would grab the 2 in the middle. They would each grab 1. Boom, boom, go do. On to the next. Like, I was a fucking animal back then.
I don't remember. I never really did shots, so I don't know if I was ever a part of that. That might have been.
That was. I'm trying to think of his name. Kresge was half one of them that was always in on that, and then the hayseed guy that wasn't really a hayseed, but he looked like it. It may not have even overlapped with the time that you were there, because I don't think so. I was sucked into this world for 2 or so years. You were there.
Sounded like Justin breathed through for a little bit, and Judge was like, "I'm here. I'm here for a good." Yeah.
Well, I mean, again, like he said, I could sell shit, so I was making good money no matter what the conditions were.
Right.
And then what ended up happening was my demise in that business was a select few of us got grabbed to pilot this new campaign where we weren't walking door to door, business to business. We were literally sitting in what at the time was a singular wireless store, and people would come into the store. They would go and sign in to, because there was usually a waiting list.
Right.
And then while they were waiting, our job, and we developed the whole pitch in the campaign, would be like, hey, while you're waiting there, who's your home phone provider? Oh, it's not SBC? Shit. Come here. Let me show you something. And we'd bring them back to an area. Be like, who is it that you have? Oh, you have so-and-so? Oh man, there's no way you have a copy of your bill right now. Check this out. You know about what you're paying. And we'd pull up information, and we'd basically convert them over to SBC, which was the local phone company that was, a former Bell company. And then we would sell them home internet, which I guess we could still do today, although that
kind of happens.
Phasing out.
Now it's more like, we'll sell you the home internet. Oh, by the way, you can get a phone line too.
Right. And then they're not even really doing much of that anymore. And then
that's for old people.
I did this campaign in a couple different markets, because not only did we do the cushy job sitting in the stores, but as we were piloting this campaign, we flew to Orlando, we flew to all over the country to roll it out into new offices. So in some markets, like we were, if we would go to Orlando, it would be Bell South. And I think there we were actually in the Verizon wireless stores. Right. And then depending on where we were either linked up with Dish or DirecTV, because at that time there was no Verizon Fios or Verizon Fios TV. Again, all this shit has changed and evolved over the years. So they put us on a base salary that was decent and commission on top of it. So when they killed that campaign, I want to say I did that for the last 6 or 8 months. I got a little too cushy in that shit. So when they killed that campaign and were like, hey, you got to go back to hustling office supplies, I said, no, go back to Maryland, bitches. I'm out. And it oddly enough, it coincided with a situation where I don't even know how legal this would be today, but a guy and his girlfriend and I rented an apartment in downtown Chicago. Great place. Love the place. And then a buddy of his from Ohio moved in with us. It was 3 people on the lease, but 4 people living there. And somehow the owner got wind of it and was like, well, I'm going to have to up your rent or break your lease. And it literally coincided perfectly at the time where this campaign was falling apart. And we're like, all right, peace out, bro. Clean break. I loaded up my vehicle with all of my worldly possessions that were worth taking home and just hightailed it back to Maryland. And I was like, I'll figure out the next chapter when I get there.
Nice.
So yeah, that was.
You can always go home.
Speaking of next chapters, how long have you been in Peru?
So I've been here. What day is today? When did I get here? I got here on the 6th. So I've been here just under 2 weeks. I've got another 4 weeks to go. So from here, I got to head back to the U.S. I'm going to a Smart Sheet conference in Seattle for a week with one of my work colleagues.
Okay.
So work's paying to fly me up there. And then I'm going to head down to Denver. And speaking of Kreisky, I'm going to go hang out with him a little bit.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Chill in Denver with one of our old sales guys at some point. I don't even know if he knows that I'm coming because he doesn't have social media and I don't have the ability to text anymore. And I forgot to text him when I was in DC. So I messaged his wife.
Is he still is his phone number? I won't give the first 3 digits, but is it still 910 Matt?
No, I have no idea. Maybe that'd be amazing. Is that what it was?
It was.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was. I'll just throw it in the chat so nobody sees it. That was his phone number for a while. I don't know if it still is because he may have changed it to.
Was that his first name?
Yeah.
Oh, that's yeah.
I don't know why I remember that.
When I got to Vegas, I really tried it. I succeeded in getting a 702 landline with the last 4 numbers that spelled out Biggs.
I believe that is.
Yeah, I couldn't get Big Sexy as just the phone number. The BIG, they didn't have a prefix for that. It was 22. No, I don't remember what it was. I have to look it up. But yeah, so I loved, like when I was growing up, like, you know, my pager number was
now we're getting old school.
You had a pager.
Yeah, my pager number was customized, you know what I mean?
Are you a criminal? Only criminals had pagers.
I was a doctor.
I was like, you're either a doctor or a pimp or a drug dealer.
Angola. That's why you couldn't get it.
Yeah,
you're either a doctor, a pimp, or a drug dealer, and with the name like this,
I was choice number 4. I was a rapper.
Okay,
fair enough,
and that's accurate. That's accurate. I was in the hip hop scene, and so, yeah. And then, you know, then it became really popular amongst the kids. Had the pages in the classroom, and then you learn to put in boobies upside down, and you start texting your friend boobies all day long. Yeah, the different codes. I had to learn all the codes.
Or boobless.
Booblets.
Yeah.
Boobless. It was olden days. Olden days of telephones.
Oh man. Now we carry movie theaters in our pockets now.
Yeah.
Right. Speaking of movie theaters, great transition. I'm loving these segues. Yours truly just came back from watching Oppenheimer. Have either one of you guys seen that yet?
I have not
yet. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So here's my review. It's a good movie in terms of movie, right? Like the cinematography is amazing. The way the story is told is awesome. The sound is going to win awards for sound design, and it may get some acting awards, right? But at the end of the day, and spoiler alert for people who don't know what happens to Oppenheimer and the
I mean, I know what happens to his creation.
The congressman or whatever the film kind of centers on. It really is, and you don't have to cover your ears, Justin. It's okay. It is really just about white guys who lose their jobs.
No, I don't care about that.
I know. But then they have, that's all. This old white guys who,
as long as
get
they're
to keep
old,
everything.
powerful guys losing their
They-
jobs.
You don't get to keep your job? Oh, okay. But wait, we're not going to talk about the hundreds and thousands of people you killed. We're not going to address that. We're not going to. I mean, you mentioned it, but okay, all right. I guess that's not what this movie's about. Okay. But still, it was a good movie.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it, but it's not one of those ones that I'm like, oh man, I need to go see that now.
Now, the
like,
one you need to go see now is Barbie.
Yeah, I've heard good things.
I've seen it twice.
Really?
I've heard good things about both, but unless it's Star Trek and occasionally Star Wars, I don't see it in the theater when it first comes out.
I used to go to movies in the theaters all the time. I've stopped doing that recently.
Well, you've been in Mexico and Peru.
I used to love going to like midnight showings and getting VIP seats and having beers and sitting in big comfortable recliners at a place like Alamo Drafthouse or whatever. I used to love that. Don't do that so much anymore.
That was me back in Vegas. That was me in California. I adored that kind of stuff, especially like when big ticket market movies came out, big action movies came out.
Always action.
I want to get the midnight 1 a.m. show, be in a packed house, everybody cheering and laughing. Like the last time I did that was Avengers Endgame.
Oh God, yes.
Because I wanted to experience it in that kind of setting.
I did it differently. I was back in my hometown of 5,000 people. We don't have a theater. The closest theater is like 20 minutes away, 20, 30-minute drive in a tiny little podunk town as well. Right. Crappy theater. I went on a Tuesday morning. It was me and like 3 other people in the theater. It was like, I didn't have all the fancy stuff. I didn't care.
It's like having a private showing.
I was just sitting there being emotional, and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
I'll take those Tuesday morning matinees where there's nobody there and you got the theater to yourself pretty much.
Yeah.
I hate going into a crowded theater.
I love doing both. I love going to for the big movies like that. I love going to a fully crowded theater because the emotion washes through everybody. You can feel it in the room. Right. And then I really like it, I'll see it again, but I'll try to pick like a, weekday, morning, early afternoon. I know like during the school year when like nobody's in that freaking theater.
So when you went to see Endgame, did you go to a packed theater?
I went opening night. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Opening night at 1 a.m.
How was the vibe when Cap got Mjolnir?
Oh, I mean, he damn near got a standing ovation.
Yeah.
Like it was an audible scream, an audible loud, like those moments. You see those memes of the people that edit clip of people in the bar screaming. Like I was in a theater that did that.
Yeah, I saw videos of theater reactions to that scene and the Avengers assemble.
On your left.
Just lost their minds. I'm like, if you've been watching all of these movies for the last 10 years, no theater or no studio has ever done anything like that.
No, and in my honest opinion, never will again.
No, Marvel's never going to recapture that. Maybe decades from now they might be able to, but that magic that they created over those 20 some movies is
the hard part is that now exists. Right. And so anything you try to go in that direction, well, we're going to look back to see how you did it before. It didn't give me that. That's what these past couple of phases of the Marvel series and things have run up against and fallen into, because we've seen you do it and we've seen you do it good. So anything less than great is mid, right? We don't even allow for just okay stuff anymore. We feel highly disappointed at just okay. Well, most rabid fans feel highly disappointed at just okay stuff.
What are you most excited for that's coming out soon?
Loki. Oh, Deadpool 3.
Just movie wise, not series. That's a whole different beast.
Deadpool 3.
Yeah,
that's one I'd go see in the theater.
I gotta add another one there. Equalizer 3.
I'm interested in seeing. I'm going to see it because it's Denzel, and I'll see anything Denzel Washington.
I love the first two. He kills that role.
But I'm worried. like I know he's going to do great. I'm just worried that the writing is not going to hold up.
Yeah,
you know what
fair.
I mean. Like the trailers. I've been watching the trailers. I'm gonna go see it because it's Denzel doing action shit, and it's the only character he's ever reprised.
Yeah. Oh wow,
right?
really?
Yeah. Denzel has not done a sequel to anything else ever.
Okay.
Equalizer 2 was his first one, right? And so
it's a spectacular character, though.
It is. It really is. And so, okay, all right, I'll check it out.
I also have to ask you from the last time, from the discussion of your name.
Yes.
Did you watch Shoresy season 1?
Yes.
The Letterkenny spinoff?
I sure did. As a matter of fact, as we talked about it, I popped it on and watched the whole series. That's why everybody's telling me I need to see Shoresy season 1. Absolutely. That's right.
Season 2 is coming out at the end of September on Crave and the end of October on Hulu.
Nice. I hopefully we'll have one of those at the time. I'm currently thinking of shows you need to watch. There's a show called Jury Duty, and Judge, you would love this as well. The premise is it's a camera crew. It's set up as a documentary about a jury and their process of going through the jury, right? But normally cameras aren't allowed to film that.
Right.
But this one gets special privilege because the trial's fake. And all the jurors are fake, except one.
Oh, interesting.
One guy thinks this is a real trial and a real jury. And of course, shenanigans follow. Right? They set up all kind of weird stuff.
All right, where can I watch it?
It's on Amazon Prime Video.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called Jury Duty.
I might be canceling some plans this weekend.
We stumbled across it. It is so good. James Marsden is one of the jurors as James Marsden. Like they put a real actor among a bunch of no-name actors, kind of as a blind, right? Like if you're enamored with this one actor, you're not going to notice that all these other people are acting.
Yeah.
As weird shit starts to happen. And weird shit happens. It's so good. It's so good.
I'm a huge fan of Kirk Fox. I don't know what I've seen him in, but the dude is funny as hell.
Yeah. So do you get a whole lot of TV and stuff in Peru? Like, what do you do during the day? What's that like?
I'm working 40 hours a week with my job, so I don't watch a lot of stuff. I have ways of watching programs.
I get it. Yeah.
I can pass that information on to you.
We stream.
Are they very precise methods?
Yes.
Of watching what you want to watch?
Yes. Very precise. Currently watching Hijack, starring Idris Elba.
How's that?
It's pretty damn good. It's a mini series. I think it's only 6 or 8 episodes. I think I've got 2 left.
It's what we call a British series.
Yeah. It's Idris Elba. It's like everything you need to know about Britain, Idris Elba.
Yeah. Yeah. We just watched his
everything else is garbage. He's the good part of Britain. Right.
Right. There's only a few shining lights. We just watched the Luther. The Luther movie that came out. That was pretty good.
That was good.
And then there's a bunch. We can spend a whole nother hour just talking about shit that we've watched.
Yeah.
And that should watch and love to watch. And
so what I wanted to ask you, if we can segue.
Of course.
How are you liking Bucharest? I spent a weekend there. When I was in Bulgaria, we took a road trip or a train trip up to Bucharest from Bulgaria, the first workaway that I was working on there. And it was a pretty cool little city. We were only there for a couple nights, but
it's interesting, right? Bucharest. So it's my very first time ever in an Eastern Bloc country, right? And so I'm feeling that oppression that was built into the architecture.
I was going to say the brutalist architecture is so abundant. and so
Right, you
on.
know what I mean? It's like, okay, so this is, I get it. I get why the old people around here walk around with sour faces. But everybody's lovely. People have been wonderful and lovely and helpful, right? It's just, and actually it's what we met some of the most amazing people. I had to go to get checked out. I need to get my medication refilled because, again, we've been on this journey now longer than the 90 days that was expected. And so, okay, well, I'm starting to run out of the medication. I had to go get the medication filled. The friend that we met, who I've talked about, Raluca.
Why is it that every time you start talking about your prescriptions that the sirens start going off, Biggs?
Because those are the dulcet, harmonious tones of Bucharest. We have the Bucharest song, which is wee wee ha 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 wee 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 everywhere, no matter where you are.
Don't get me started on the car alarms here in Peru.
Yeah, but here are sirens, horns honking.
Oh,
constant. But again, we're from big cities, so I'm used to it. But no, Bucharest has been lovely and okay. The food is terrible.
Yeah. You're not going to find the greatest cuisine in Eastern Europe.
No,
it's like that's some of the best in the world. So some of the
worst. Yeah, and they know it, so I'm okay with they know it. Nobody trying to.
Eastern Europe's also home of some of the most beautiful women in the world. So
every day walking down the street at all times.
Yep.
At least there's something to eat.
Yes. I get a feast. All I have to do is just sit on our front. The benches all over the place. I was talking to my friend Luke. I was talking about they have a mayor of whatever city. And the mayor does fuck all for the first 2/3 of their engagement,
Sure.
And then the last third of their term, they add benches to whatever sector, whatever city they're in charge of. So there's all these lovely benches everywhere. So it's nice to sit there and just go out and sit down and just chill and and enjoy the time on the benches.
So is Romania a post-communist country, I believe?
Yes.
So
yes,
one of the things that I learned about benches when I was in Bulgaria is when they were under the Soviet Union, under communism, and actually, I learned this in Bulgaria and in Poland. So when you see a lot of houses, you see their houses are walled in. They've got a wall outside, and outside the gate or the door, there's a bench.
Right.
And I was like, why do all these houses have a bench out front of the wall in front of their house? And these older guys that I spoke to when I was doing conversational English in Poland explained to me that under communism, if you were allowed to have one pig, that was your one pig, you were allotted that. If your friends came into your home and they saw that you had two pigs and they didn't report you to the authorities, they would be held accountable for you having more than you were allotted. And therefore, instead of bringing friends into your home, their friends would come over to visit and you would sit on the bench outside of the walled-in home for plausible deniability.
Plausible deniability.
So when I hear people talking about, the United States is going to communism, blah, 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 I'm like, I've sat down with people who lived under real communism, or the version that, that we understand. And I'm like, no matter how progressive the United States gets, it will never get to the point where if your friend sees that you have two pigs, they get arrested too.
People in the U.S., and I'm feeling that now that I'm more outside of it and looking in, there is it's been very interesting to talk to people about America. Mm-hmm. Right, talk to foreign people who've never been to America about the stereotypes of America, and I really people in America have no idea when they say you're a socialist, you're a communist, you're whatever. They don't know what that means. You have no idea. The government better
keep their hands off my Medicare.
You don't.
The only thing they understand is China and Venezuela, and
they don't even know what they understand about those. Yeah, and they don't even know what they understand about those. They have no idea what they what it all. They're not, the study people aren't running around shouting shit. People who know, they got nothing to say about it.
Yeah.
But that's for another podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, the politics. Yeah, we try to steer away from politics and religion on this podcast just because I don't want to get riled up. And
we'll keep it light. Keep it light here with Big Sexy Digital Nomad.
Yes, yes, that's right.
Safe travels.
Safe fun.
I got something light for you. Speaking of Romania, has one of the. I'm looking. When you told me you were there, because I thought you were still in Spain, which love Spain. I was only in Romania for a weekend, but I have pictures. I pulled up my album there, and I was like, "What do I remember from Romania?" See if I could find anything to recommend to you. But I have pictures of a beer that has the best name of any beer that I've come across. And I apologize for the profanity, but this beer is called Ground Zero Imperial Fuck.
Nice.
Nice.
Imperial IPA. I don't know why, but it's the only beer I've ever seen with the word fuck on the label. So I thought
that's not too uncommon. I mean, it's not regular, not like everything out here named fuck or whatever, but I've seen a few things out here that have fuck on them. Like, oh, okay. All right. I tell you, the weirdest store I've seen out here in the mall is a clothing fashion called Young, Rich, and White.
Jesus Christ.
Uh-huh.
Wait, this isn't a country music band?
No.
To be fair, this is Romania in Eastern
is Romania.
Europe.
And I definitely want to. There's a part of me that really wants to buy one of those shirts.
Please buy that shirt. Please buy that shirt.
I'm definitely going to go in one of these days and try one on, and take a bunch of selfies in the dressing room.
That's phenomenal.
You said that beer was Ground Zero Imperial
fuck? Imperial fuck. Also, have you toured Parliament?
We haven't done a whole lot of touring. We've gone through a few parks and seen like outside. It's hard to go because we have the dog. We have Fox, so we can't really go into any buildings really. We have to leave him, and then that gets kind of tricky. And so, but we'll probably see a few things before we bounce. So next episode, listeners, what I'll do is I'll get into tell more about my health trip. Again, I had to see the heart doctor. Nothing bad, just get checked and get the medication. But I saw a cardiologist, and that was very interesting. And then so I talked to an endocrinologist about my medication. So I'll tell reports about those adventures next episode. And there's a third thing that we were just talking about, and I circumvented saying it to talk about those two things first, and now I can't remember what that third thing is. But listeners already know I have bad memory, so when I think about it, I'll
we'll get there eventually.
We'll get there eventually. But so before we end this, because we're already at an hour. Judgmentalist, you have more shows you want to plug those now.
Well, I mean, I'm going to plug those shows that I'm doing with RJ. They are in Chicago on September 12th and in, I think it's Gothenburg, Nebraska. So it's west of Omaha on the 14th of September. They're all at judgmentalist.com. We'll talk next time about ways that people can help.
Details and stuff like that.
Yeah, I want to talk about the Between Two Minds show and the types of organizations I'm trying to connect with, the book shows for that, but we'll do that next time. But yeah, judgmentalist.com to get those two shows to see me and Uncle RJ out in the Midwest. It's guaranteed to be a great time.
Guaranteed. And Justin, where can the folks find you?
I'm not really doing the socials that much anymore, but Beer in a Backpack on Instagram is pretty much the only thing that I'm messing around with anymore. I'm kind of punting the whole blogging. I thought I was going to try and be a vlogger, and then I realized I'm not the main character type. So I punted that immediately and wasted $1,000 on camera gear for that. That's now sitting in my storage unit.
I'll buy it from you.
I'll tell you. I
was going to say, I was trying to sell it to you. I got a gimbal and a nice little vlogging camera that would work really well for you.
I'll probably take it just for shit on the road and recording the shows. I actually just upgraded. I just upgraded cameras to capture better lower light video of the hypnosis shows. We put a promo video together that most everybody has probably seen by now. That's really cool, but the lighting will do better with the next one.
Right. And I'd say I'd buy it from you, but we're broke. And well, we're not broke, but we're spending all the money on Airbnbs and trying to save up to get this student visa for Spain so we can live there.
So y'all trying to go back to Spain full time?
Full time. Oh yeah. That's the goal. Oh yeah. We're in Malaga. We fell in love with it. We're supposed to only be in Malaga. Yeah, we're supposed to be there for a week, and we ended up staying there 2.5 months.
I spent 2 months in Valencia and absolutely adore that city. I haven't been anywhere else in Spain. If you guys get that sorted out, can I convince Judge to hop on a plane with me and we'll come visit you?
Yes, absolutely.
Listen, the invitation is open. The biggest, easiest way to get me to hop on a plane to what seems like a random place is to book me a show there. I made a
mistake. I found theaters in Malaga Central that I'm like, okay, well, let's see if we can book a show there. Let's see what it takes to book show there. And then I'll bring Elton to Spain.
My schedule is very tight for things that aren't stuff like that. I can find spaces to get in and get out for shows.
Well, you messaged me this afternoon about Siegfried in Pittsburgh. Can you get Siegfried to come back down to Ecuador? Because that's where he's from.
I'll reach out to him. We'd need a venue.
Let's do a thing. Let's do a thing in Ecuador.
I've
got a friend in Ecuador, and I'm sure if you do it in Quito or whatever, we can find some people to sell some tickets.
No keto for me. I love bread.
And on that note, listeners, thank you guys. Be sure to follow us at Big Sexy Nomad everywhere. You can support the podcast by going to bullwiththebutthole.com. And we appreciate again, Justin. Thanks again for hopping in, man. It's good to see you again.
It's been a long time. I see Jobs from time to time, but it's a great time hanging out with you guys. I hope I can come back and do it again.
You absolutely can. You have an open invitation whenever you feel like, hey man, let's get together and talk to me, or you do something fun. Hit us up. We'll always do it.
I literally have a travel best practices list that I've been building out for no reason, and I think it might actually be useful for some of your listeners that I've come up with.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, if it's anything written down, send us in an email, or you know how we do the voice messages, whatever you like. We'll put it together. We'll promote it, or we'll have you back on to promote it. Whatever we need to do.
Yeah,
sounds good. We'll talk.
All right, y'all. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
We didn't have outro music when you were here last time.
Look at us go like a professional podcast and whatnot.
Safe travels.
I've listened to the vast majority. I think I'm probably a handful of episodes behind, but when I've been traveling, I've been in a lot of places where it's like I don't have Wi-Fi. Like when I was going from DC or Pittsburgh to DC or whatever, and I was like, I had no cell reception the entire time on the train, and I was like, oh, thank God I downloaded your guys' podcast, or I'd have gone fucking insane. You guys have saved me so much stress of I don't have anything to do, but oh wait, I've got downloaded podcasts that I can listen to you guys. And I remember I listened to it while I'm driving, because I found that listening to podcasts while driving is a lot easier to make the time pass than when you're listening to music, because long form just makes long time travel go quicker. It's
where I listen to the majority of my podcasts.
It's easy because it's I know you guys, Biggs, we haven't met yet, but we will eventually. But it makes traveling time, which I don't love traveling. I'm a traveler, but I don't love the traveling aspect. And it feels like I'm just kind of hanging out there with you guys. And I'm like, all right, cool. And I remember listening to one of the episodes you had Brogan on. I was like, Brogan sounds fucking cool. I could hang with Brogan.
Yeah, Brogan is definitely the coolest.
Can we please go to make that happen? I just want to go drink more scotch and be around nice people and sheep.